Today I have one of those common sense cases that comes to us out of the Missouri Supreme Court that I'm going to talk about because I think it will make teachers feel very good. And lest I forget, hi, Tony DeWitt, Missouri Appellate Attorney, a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. You guys are probably tired of hearing that, but I think sometimes we get new viewers and they don't understand what my relationship is. I do get a lot of requests to represent people in other states, and I just can't do that. In fact, I don't take private clients. I basically work for lawyers at this point. So, with that said, let's get into the case. In Missouri, a lot of the counties are very, very good about keeping students in school. And of course, there's a very good reason for that. A lot of the federal funding that a school district gets is based on attendance, how many people attend every day. And so for that reason, laws are on the books that require regular school attendance. And indeed, in Missouri, that's what the statute demands. It demands that you attend school regularly. Where the problem comes up is that somebody can probably miss 20 days in St. Louis County, whereas they probably can't miss more than 10 in any other county. And that's because the big urban areas tend to be much more lax in the enforcement of the statute, simply because they already get a ton of money from the feds. So this is a case that involves two rural Missouri moms. And I think it's kind of unfortunate that it falls on the moms here, but they are single mothers. They are single custodial mothers of minor children. And both of them got into trouble with the school district because they essentially just never bothered to produce any documentation for the absences that their children had. And keep in mind that what we're talking about here are people who have unexcused absences. So if you need to have the child go to the doctor, if you can go to the doctor and get a note that says he missed school on February 9th because he had a doctor's appointment here in my office and I released him back to go back to school after the appointment, that's an excused absence and that doesn't count for these statutory problems. So the way the system works in that particular county, the school district, when you have missed about 25% of the days you can miss, will send you a letter and it says, Dear Mrs. Doe, Johnny Doe, who is a student in Mrs. Smith's third grade class, has missed 5 consecutive days in this school year. And as a result of that, there is a good chance that he will be over the limit and will not be able to successfully complete this year's study. In addition to that, you risk criminal penalties if your child does not come to school on a regular basis. And the school district would send a copy of the statute out with the letter. And you would expect when somebody looks at that and says, holy cow, I could go to jail if my kid doesn't go to school. I better make sure little Johnny gets his behind into school. But I'm guessing that in both of these cases, the women were just sort of put upon with other things. There are a lot of people in rural Missouri, and this is a rural county. There are a lot of people in rural Missouri who don't have good transportation. They don't have good support systems. They don't have a mom or a dad who can come in and fill in at times when there's a shortage of people available to watch the child or to run the child to school if he misses the bus, or sometimes to pick him up from the doctor's office and take him to school. And that just doesn't always happen. And as a result of that, these two moms exceeded the number of days that they were allowed. And so they sent out the sheriff, and the sheriff arrested them. And I'm sure that the two women were like, what? You're arresting me because my kid didn't go to school? Arrest my kid. But the kid doesn't get arrested. It's the parents. And I think that's the way it should be. Because as a parent, you have a responsibility to see to it that little Johnny gets his behind into school every day. Now, I think there are extenuating circumstances, and I do think that sometimes it would behoove the school district to work with the parent and perhaps mentor the parent, make available to them community resources that they may not be aware of, that sort of thing. But in a rural county, the community resources tend to be a lot less available than they do otherwise. So both of these ladies were represented by public defenders, and they were charged with misdemeanor crimes under this school attendance statute. And neither one of them wanted to plead guilty, so they went to trial and they were convicted, and then they promptly appealed. And the defense, which was a legal defense, was that the statute was vague and there was no clear basis to establish what regular attendance was. The Supreme Court in Missouri looked at a number of things to determine what regular was. And they cited a number of definitions from statutes and the dictionary. And basically they came to the conclusion that regular is exactly as it's laid out in the school manual, which both of these ladies had signed a slip saying they understood what the student manual said, and that they would be responsible for, attendance based on the school manual. And they said, you were provided with a definition of what this county believed regular attendance was, and you didn't make the grade. So the court affirmed the two misdemeanor convictions. Now, in both cases, one of the ladies was put on probation. The other lady, I think, did a little bit of jail time, maybe a couple of days in jail. This is not, these two are not Babyface Nelson and Pretty Boy Floyd. They are just two moms who were really having a hard time. And I salute the public defenders who I think came up with kind of a novel idea for a defense here. But the bottom line is that they didn't meet the standard, and they were held accountable, which is what you expect the law to do. And frankly, I think it's a good decision. I think it's one of the better decisions that the Supreme Court has come out with in the last couple of years. I will put a link to the opinion in the description, and I'd be happy to hear any comments that anybody has. One other note. I have been doing some volunteering during the day in healthcare. And I'm not acting as a respiratory therapist, but I am volunteering, and it's eating up a huge amount of time that I would ordinarily have to make these videos. So please forgive me for not getting out as many videos this week. Hopefully I will not have a need to volunteer in the weeks ahead. Thank you for watching. If you have the opportunity today, do something kind for someone. And catch me down here at the beach next time. If you like this video, here are a few others you might try, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a terrific day, guys.